bathing soon. Good morning. I'm gonna get in the shower. I'll be right back. I showered. I'm freshly clean. Also just randomly, like, you guys always ask, first of all, you always ask if my hair is naturally curly. My hair is naturally curly. The weird thing is, it didn't used to be. When I was younger, I had like pin straight hair. Everyone in my family has pin straight hair, okay? Thinner than tissue paper. I got a perm when I was like 12, I wanna say. That's the only time I've gotten a perm. I maybe got it once after, I got it re-permed like once after that when I was like 14 or 15, right? Never got a perm again. It's been curly ever since. So someone explain that to me. Now I have curly, naturally curly wavy hair. And I'm the only one in my family who has that. I think my dad does. He's bald now. So you can't see his hair, but I think he had like curlier hair when he was younger. I don't know, you guys. Anyways, you guys ask me all the time what I use in my hair. But I use the Cantu Shea Butter Coconut Curling Cream. Can you see it? This, I swear by this stuff. In another video, I'll show you like how I do my hair because I already did it today. This is the only thing I put in my hair. Sometimes I put like conditioning, leave-in conditioner if it's like really getting out of control. Linked in my Amazon storefront. Oh, my brakes. Okay. Now you're gonna come with me to get some coffee because I can't do anything without it. That's the issue. That's the problem. That's the addiction. This video is mostly gonna be about, and I'll explain it a little bit more later, is mostly gonna be a start to my mini series about PCOS. I'm gonna do a bunch of videos breaking down different things involving PCOS. I'll explain that a little bit more later. But right now, we're gonna go get coffee first. There's a Starbucks probably 5 minutes from me. It's like straight down the street. But I'm really weird about Starbucks because it's so hit or miss. And everyone's like, man, Starbucks, it's so gross. It tastes like poo-poo. I think if you find a drink that's good and you stick to it, it's good. Okay, sir. Okay. Everybody driving like a crazy person. This is why I don't leave the house. Anyways, I'm not going to the Starbucks that's near me because the drink that I get, this one Starbucks just makes it so good every time I go. It's a drive-through, but it's not like close to, it's not far, but it's not like the close one to me. Freaking hit me. I was meant to be at this one today. There's no line. Oh, amen to that. Hi, can I get a venti of the toasted vanilla shaken oat milk espresso? I brought my Frost Buddy to put my coffee in because this is the best thing ever invented. You just take it, this little rubber thing right here, you put over the tumbler, and then you just, you're drinking.
What's going on today?
Nothing much. I'm running errands. Gotta go to the grocery store.
You don't work today?
No, so I work in like social media, so I work from home.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Thanks. Amazing, thank you. Can I get a straw? Thank you so much. First of all, he was so nice. Second of all, why did I just lie? I'm sweating, that made me sweat. When your drink is being made and they start like talking to you because they want to like help you pass the time, I just fully lied to that man. I told him the job I used to do because I panicked. Bless America, that made me sweat. I hate when people like ask me questions and strike up conversations. That is so funny that I just caught that. Yup. Nailed it. Hey. We're in my room. First time probably in my videos. Yes, don't ask me for a room tour because it's just so basic right now. I'm one of those people that takes a minute when I move into a place to like get everything situated and buy everything. I can't just like spend all my money at once. Does it drive me crazy? Yeah, it does. But like, that's who I am, so. All right, you guys, the rest of this video, we are finally gonna talk about what most of you guys have been asking me to talk about for like years now. Since I started on Instagram and I started on TikTok and just I started in general like talking about it like a couple years ago. This is my first video in a mini series that I'm gonna do about my PCOS. I'm going to try and do 4 or 5 part series or just like however many part series where I can talk about each individual thing that comes along with PCOS. So my video today is going to just be talking about what PCOS is, what it stands for, like the basics of it, right? How I got diagnosed with it. And then all my other videos in the mini series for this will deal with like how I eat, how I exercise, what I'm on, like supplements and prescription wise, my whole journey. It's just too long to put into one video. Woo! Also, disclaimer, let's just start with this. I am not a medical professional. I am not a doctor. I am not any of those things. I simply am going to be stating like what my journey has been like. My gynecologist that I found, who I think is tremendous, what she's told me, what I've learned myself. Everybody's gonna be different. As we will talk about, PCOS is such a large spectrum for everyone. It's different for everybody. Symptoms are similar, but it's like different for everyone. How their body processes it, how their body deals with it is either severe or less severe or in the middle, all over the place. We're gonna start with that disclaimer. But if I'm looking this way, it's because I have things up on my laptop because I don't want to like misspeak or use wrong terms. So let's freaking get into it, you guys. PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. That's what it stands for. Sounds scary, but it is like one of the most common things that women have. I think my gynecologist told me, again, like don't quote me on this, that it's like over 50% of women have it and don't know that they have it, which is crazy. But basically it's a hormonal disorder that causes enlarged ovaries. Ovaries then have small cysts like on the outer edges. I'm gonna put my laptop right here. Symptoms include menstrual irregularity, excess hair growth, acne, obesity. It's just like a common hormone problem for women. Like when you get your menstrual cycle or you're like of childbearing age is what they say here. But women with PCOS may not ovulate as regularly as supposed to. So once a month, right? You're supposed to get your period. You have high levels of androgen. So that's like the basic of PCOS. Basically, it's a hormonal disorder where, as I was told when I found out that I had it, like we're getting more male hormones than we're getting female hormones. I don't know why, like I feel so stupid talking about this. Let's talk about how I found out I had it. Okay, my story starts 3 years ago. I had been fine like my whole life. When I got my period late. I started my menstrual cycle when I was like 16, like almost 17. Started later, but I had been a competitive gymnast my entire life. Like I was a competitive gymnast for like 6 years. So I just thought that I was like a late bloomer anyways. I was doing all these sports and everything. So I'm like, oh, it just came late. Then when I got it, I always had really, really irregular periods. Sometimes I would have like 2 a year. Crazy, and everyone's gonna be like, oh my god, I want that. You don't. Like that's not fun and normal. So like at the time I didn't know that, but you don't want that. So I had irregular periods my whole life. Going into college, fast forward, I got on birth control going into college because I was still having irregular periods. I didn't know what was gonna happen in my life. I hadn't had sex yet, but I knew that like going into college, I was gonna be away from my parents and it was best to regulate that and also be safe if I was gonna be sexually active. I started birth control. I gained a lot of weight when I first started birth control, but everyone told me that was normal. And I ended up kind of like losing it. Like I gained like 10 pounds and I lost it. So most of it was like water weight, right? Whatever, it regulates my periods. I'm like, woo. I had troubles when I was younger, but like after that was always very lucky with my skin. Never had issues, never had like acne problems. Nothing was ever like in that situation was an issue. Fast forward years and years and years. I had been on birth control for like 8 years. I had not found a gynecologist or been to a gynecologist that I liked. And I was also terrified of them. Just like probably everybody else, maybe not everybody else, was like, no way am I going to this woman or man. You couldn't pay me for my gynecologist to be a man. And I'm gonna go in and just fucking spread my legs open and they're gonna shove. Like it just all sounded so scary. Like when my parents or my friends told me about it, they're like, oh, they put this thing and they fucking crank it open and they stick and they swab the inside. It just sounds like violating and not like a good time. So I hadn't been because I was scared, but I had also not found one that I liked. I got here to LA. It was like starting to feel kind of weird. I was like 2 years into me like living here and I was starting to gain weight and I could not for the life of me lose it. It was pissing me off. Like I was working out with a trainer. I was like really intensely like working out. I just kept gaining weight. I was confused and I was like, maybe I should change my birth control, whatever. Like all these things were happening to me and I was like, something is off with my body. I need to find a gynecologist. And I was like starting to get worried about myself. I was also sexually active at that point and I was like, I haven't been to one. Like I gotta go. I think I was 22, 23. Talked to some of my friends, actually my friend Kristen, and she told me that she went to this lady in Santa Monica and she loves her and she's like blunt and honest. And I was like, a lady, a woman, done. Made an appointment. And my first appointment, she's just like asking me all these questions, basically saying like, okay, how long have you been on birth control? I was like, it's been like 8 years now or whatever. And she said to me, which is like the first time anyone had ever said this to me, she was like, okay, you in the next like year or so need to get off of birth control because after you've been on it for like 8 or so years, I believe she said, this was a long time ago, so I can't remember exactly what she said, but like 8 or so years you need to get off of it because then it's doing more harm to your body than it is good. That makes sense the more that I learned. And then she asked me prior to my birth control, did I have regular periods? Did I have any other issues? Whatever. She's asking me all these questions. So I was just answering honestly with her. And she told me, her advice to me was, if you're comfortable with it, wants you to get off of birth control. When you're sexually active, just be safe. And I'm like, okay. We're not out here trusting men like that. She was like, just have safe sex, use condoms. And I'm like, that's scary. I don't want that. Like, I don't trust anyone, so no. She was like, okay, well, when you're ready, then like we can talk about it. But I want you to get off birth control because I want to see what happens to your body afterwards. And I was like, girl, what? I told her that I had really irregular periods prior to birth control, but I got on it when I was like going into college. So like I never really figured anything else out besides the fact that I had irregular periods. She was like, when you're ready. And I was like, I had that first appointment, but she was great. I loved her. She made me so comfortable. They are not as bad as you think they are. They, meaning pap smears, they're not as bad as you think they are. They're so quick. Like if the doctor's like doing it right, you're in and out of that joint. Number one, find a gynecologist. Either you just want to find one because you think something's wrong or think something's up, or sexually active, you need to go. Okay, my second thing was, I was like, I'm not ready. That sounds crazy. I'm scared. Okay, whatever. She was like, I want you to come back in a little bit. I think she said like 6 months. Like she wanted me to do another one in like 6 months, another check-in with her. So like a couple months go by. Jesus, God himself, the universe, whatever, was like, you gotta do this, because I was gaining a lot of weight, like I said, and I couldn't lose it for the life of me. I felt so uncomfortable in my skin. I literally felt like a giant balloon. I felt like you could literally pop me. I just felt gross, and I was like eating healthy, but it was like, I would eat like literally a carrot and I feel like I would blow up. Like I would be the size of a hot air balloon. But I was gaining weight. I wasn't losing any weight. None of it was making sense to me. And just nothing was getting better. I was the heaviest that I had ever been. And nothing is helping. Well, then I got let go from my job that I was working at the time. It kind of forced me to get off of birth control because then I didn't have health insurance and I couldn't pay for it and didn't want to pay for it, and also looked at it as an opportunity to start taking the steps that I needed to take, right? That she asked me to take. Don't have health insurance. I get off my birth control. Like a couple weeks go by. Like everything was fine at first, and then like maybe it was like 6 or 7 weeks. Like it took a hot minute. But I started getting severe acne all over my chin area, like in here, like the hormonal acne. Like I would get some up here, but most of it was right here, and it was so painful. I was getting it on my chest. I was getting it on my back. It was like freaking out of control. And I'm like, okay. I go into her again for another appointment, and she's like, did you get off birth control? I'm like, yeah, I think I've been off of it. It was like close to like 3 months at that point. And she was like, we need to schedule a ultrasound for you because I think that you have PCOS. And I was like, what the fuck is PCOS? I had heard like previously like a friend speak about it, or that she had been diagnosed with it. Okay, what's that? And she explained to me polycystic ovarian syndrome. It deals with hormones, yada, yada, yada. Everything that I just told you guys, right? She was like, here's the reason I think you have it. You're getting hormonal acne everywhere on your chin, on your chest, on your back. You've had irregular periods your entire life. You got off of birth control and none of that like fixed it. You have weight gain and weight loss frequently. She was like, you are the heaviest you've been right now. And she was like, all of these things, you know, make me think that this is what you have, but we have to do an ultrasound to figure it out. Okay, fast forward. I think it was a couple weeks later, I scheduled that, went back in, did my ultrasound. The ultrasound, again, is like everything at the gynecologist is like very personal. So I go in, they take literally, it's like a stick that's like this long, and they freaking shove it up in there. And it's just an ultrasound. Like it doesn't hurt at all. There's like maybe a little bit of pressure. You see it on the ultrasound. She showed me, she went over to my ovaries and basically showed me that my ovaries were enlarged. So they're bigger than they're supposed to be. You see the cysts all along your ovaries. And she said it looks like a pearl necklace around the outlining of your ovaries. So she was like, here you go, you can look. And she literally showed me on the ultrasound, you have PCOS. And I was like, what? She was like, it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna get you on supplements. I'm gonna get you on this and this and this. And her advice to me basically was, it is manageable. It will never go away. Like you will probably always have it. Here are some things that you can do to help yourself. And she said the first thing is diet and exercise. You have to cut all gluten and all dairy out of your diet. You need to lower the sugars in your diet, all these things, right? And she told me basically, which I'm gonna read this because this is like more helpful than me just like spewing. Basically, the exact cause of PCOS is unknown. Early diagnosis and treatment, along with weight loss, lowers the risk of long-term complications such as type 2 diabetes and heart disease. Symptoms of PCOS often start around the time of your menstrual period. Sometimes symptoms develop later after you've had periods for a long time, which was the case with me. All the symptoms vary. Diagnosis of PCOS is made when you have at least 2 of these. Okay, so, and I had several of these. Irregular periods, too much androgen, so high levels of the hormone androgen result in excess facial and body hair, and that's because it is male hormone. We all have male and female hormones in our body, but obviously if you're female, you have more estrogen. If you're male, you have more androgen. And if I have more of those, then I'm starting to get excess facial and body hair. Sometimes severe acne and male pattern baldness can also happen too. So because it is the male hormone, and in PCOS you tend to have more of that than you do the female hormone, you start to get like male things. So facial hair, body hair, which like we have that stuff, but I mean like on your chin, on your chest. Severe acne, which like males get around here because this is the hormonal acne that like males tend to get. Your ovaries are bigger than they're supposed to be, and follicles containing immature eggs may develop on the edge of the ovary, and the ovaries might not work exactly the way that they should. During your periods, like it's not pushing the correct hormones, and so you're not having periods at the right time, or your periods are lasting a really long time, all of that good stuff. So she explains all this to me, and I'm like, what? And then she says it does come with infertility, and I like lost my mind. I just remember like calling my sister afterwards, and I was sobbing because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm infertile. Like this is the end. Like I literally thought my life was over until I did more research, found out more, kept going to my gynecologist, kept talking to her about it, asking literally so many questions. She told me all those things. She said infertility comes with PCOS, but because you are so young and you caught it, this is good. She basically said like a lot of women don't find out that they have it until they're trying to have kids. They're having a hard time having kids. They're going into their doctors and then they're diagnosed with it. So she was like, this is great. You're finding it at 23. We can get your hormones leveled out, get your body leveled out, and work on this over the next couple of years. Then when you want to start having kids, you'll be good. But it is harder to have kids. It is not impossible, is what she told me. She was like, so don't go around just freaking free for all having sex, like think nothing's gonna happen. But it does come with infertility, but you can fix that. Oh, and PCOS signs and symptoms are more severe in people with obesity, but obesity comes with PCOS as well. Like you gain weight so quickly, and you can also lose weight so quickly. And that comes from like the gluten and the things that you're eating, and that's why you're not supposed to eat those. Again, I'll get into all those things when I talk about food and health and things like that. This is from the Mayo Clinic. It says basically the exact cause of PCOS is not known. Factors that may play a role are insulin resistance. Insulin is a hormone that your pancreas makes. It allows cells to use sugar, your body's primary energy supply. If cell is resistant to the action of insulin, the blood sugar levels can go up and down. That does happen with me, and that also has to do with the way that you exercise and the way that you eat. How tired I am on certain days, how like energetic I am on certain days. Like because my hormones and insulin is just like woo all over the place, like I'm all over the place all the time. Like figuring all that out was like insane. But this can cause your body to make more insulin to try and bring down the blood sugar level. Too much insulin might cause your body to make too much of the male hormone, androgen, and you could have trouble with ovulation, the process where eggs are released from the ovaries, blah, blah. A bigger appetite and weight gain might be other signs. So insulin is a huge part in it as well. Research shows that people with PCOS have a type of long-term low-grade inflammation that leads to polycystic ovaries to produce androgens, which can lead to heart and blood vessel problems. So that can come with it. Hereditary research suggests that certain genes might be linked to PCOS, but they don't know that for a fact. Having a family history of PCOS can also play a role in developing condition, but like they don't know that for a fact. And also no one in my family has ever been diagnosed with it. I'm the only one thus far. And then again, excess androgen. With PCOS, the ovaries may produce high levels of androgen, the male hormone. Having too much of this interferes with ovulation. This means your eggs don't develop on a regular basis and aren't released from the follicles where they developed when they're supposed to. Complications of PCOS that come with it are infertility, gestational diabetes or pregnancy-induced high blood pressure, miscarriages, premature births, severe liver inflammation, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, unhealthy cholesterol. Don't quote me on this. I think that my gynecologist told me that it's like really similar to diabetes, has a lot of similarities to it. Sleep apnea, that does happen to me sometimes, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, all of that. Anyways, all to say, I feel like I've just blabbed on, but like that is what PCOS is. That's what it stands for. That is the basics of it. It is a hormonal disorder. Now you know how I was diagnosed with it, and I can talk more about my journey. You can ask me more questions. I can answer them on TikTok. I can, do what I can. It's so hard to talk about it because it's so different. And also it happened 3 years ago for me now. This is how I was diagnosed. This is what my doctor told me. And she also told me the one thing is that like a lot of doctors, especially male doctors, will just hand you birth control because they say that fixes it. It does not fix PCOS. That puts a band-aid on your PCOS. When you are taking birth control, you are just adding in hormones, patching, putting band-aids on your actual hormone levels, adding in extra hormones, which is not needed. My gynecologist is like, no birth control, does not agree with it, does not like it. And she's like, I'm not gonna hand this to you to fix the problem. The way to fix your PCOS is to handle it with your diet, the way that you exercise, the way, like the supplements that you take is like naturally basically just getting your body back on track, which is what I did after 2.5 years. I finally did my blood test, my hormones are leveled out. So I did finally get my body back on track. This video is just, I wanted this first one to be a little bit about how I found out I had it, what it is exactly, because a lot of people don't know what it is. I think first and foremost, you need to find a gynecologist who knows what she's doing, knows what she's talking about, is very blunt and very honest with you, which mine is. I will say that since I've been diagnosed with it, I have helped 3 of my other girlfriends find out that they also have it, and they do very different things than I do, and things for their body work very differently than what work for my body. I just want to help everyone. Most doctors, like I said, are just going to chuck birth control at you, which is not going to do anything for you. And then later in life, when you're trying to have kids, you're going to be like, what's going on? And then you're going to have to figure it out then. So I just want to do whatever I can to talk about it more, to get an open conversation about women's health and PCOS just in general. It be a safe space where people can talk about it in the comments or ask me questions about it. I'm like really excited about it because it's something I'm really passionate about now. And there are a few people that I follow and go to for advice like online, which I'll get there, and some other videos I'll show you who I follow and you know what they talk about and why I like them. I hope you like this video to start off my mini series. Let me know if you have any questions. Sorry if I'm just like blabbing and you're like, what is all this doctor talk? Love you guys. Like, follow, subscribe, put your post notifications on, all that good jazz to make sure that you see all the other videos that are coming after this. Okay, my camera's gonna die, so we have to go now. I'm sweating. Okay, bye.